Hi, I'm Tony. Pruning is an important part of care for most shrubs. In the next few minutes, we'll look at some basic pruning tips. Pruning involves removing certain parts of the shrub to ultimately benefit the whole. It helps with size and shape management, and it can help improve air circulation through the shrub's interior. It also helps keep shrubs healthy and can encourage blooming. To prune a shrub, you need a few basic tools. First of all, it's a good idea to wear gardening gloves. If your shrubs have thorns, you'll need thick leather gloves. To cut shoots and branches up to about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you'll need a pair of pruning shears. There are two main types, Anvil and Bypass. Anvil pruning shears have a blade that cuts against a flat surface. They deliver a lot of cutting power, so they're great for quickly cutting through tough materials such as dry, dead branches. The downside of the Anvil shears is that they crush the plant material as they cut, and they tend to make ragged cuts, which tend to heal more slowly and be less infection resistant than clean cuts. Bypass pruning shears are preferred by many gardeners because although they aren't quite as strong as Anvil shears, they have overlapping blades and make a cleaner, more precise cut without crushing, like a pair of scissors. To prune branches up to about 1.5 inches in diameter, use lopping shears. They're designed for two-handed operation so you get more leverage. For branches larger than 1.5 inches around, you'll need a hand pruning saw. When pruning a shrub, first remove any diseased, damaged, or dead branches, as well as those that rub against each other. After cutting any diseased branches, dip your pruning tool in some rubbing alcohol or bleach solution to sanitize it. It's also important to remove any branches that are safety hazard. For example, if they're sticking out over a walkway. But never remove branches near power lines. Call your utility company for that. Once you've addressed problem areas, prune to refine overall shape, size, and density. To open up the interior of a shrub that's getting too dense, the idea is to selectively remove branches without destroying the natural shape. Since shrubs tend to grow outward, removing excessive inward pointing branches can help retain a natural look. It's helpful to take a step back or several steps back once in a while as you're pruning just to gauge your progress and ensure you're not overcutting in any one area. When pruning entire branches, cut them just above the branch collar swelling without leaving a stub. If you're only cutting back part of a branch, cut just above a healthy outward-facing bud. Make each cut at about a 45-degree angle to allow rainwater to drop off. This will help prevent rotting. So how much can you cut? A good rule of thumb is to remove no more than 1/4 to 1/3 of the shrub. Less is certainly fine, but in most cases, removing more would risk weakening it. Many shrubs, if they're getting too large, can be renewed by cutting some of the older stems down to their point of origin, or even to the ground level, and repeating the process over a few years. With certain species, you can cut the entire shrub down to a few inches from the ground, but that won't work with just any shrub. So it's best to check with the nursery or your local extension office before trying anything drastic. So when is the best time to prune? With most shrubs, you can do occasional, very light pruning, just about any time. For more extensive pruning, your best timing will depend on the type of shrub. As a general rule, pruning in late winter or very early spring before spring growth begins is often your best bet. For instance, when pruning a shrub that's prized for its flowers, as is the case with many deciduous species, you'll want to avoid extensive pruning while the buds are developing, or you won't get many flowers. For spring flowering shrubs, you'll prune as soon as possible after the flowering period ends. For those that flower in summer or fall, prune before new growth begins in the spring. Most evergreen shrubs don't require much pruning, but if you do need to prune them, late winter is the best time for many species. But again, there are exceptions. For in-depth species-specific pruning advice, consult a nursery or your local extension office. The pruning tips and tools we've discussed will help you keep your shrubs well-groomed and looking great. I'm Tony, and I'll see you next time.